Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of the Million Pound Mission Podcast. It's your buddy Adam, the PhD, the previously heavy dude, and this is episode number 304, Making Shift Happen with Anthony Trucks. Warning, this one's going to be high energy, my friends. High impact, high energy, just like you like it. All right, we have launched the new year. Welcome to 2020, my friends. I'm fired up. This is going to be our year. Mission Possible crew, Mission Possible community. Just a few quick things before we dive into this one, and you're going to love it. I can't wait. But a few quick things. Number one, we have opened up registration for our Transformation Reboot membership. If you need a little kick in the pants to kickstart your 2020, this membership includes all the support, coaching with me, one-on-one, small group, an amazing community, all my online courses with nutrition, with fitness, all the stuff is included. You can try it out for 10 days for free. Go to millionpoundmission.com and check it out. Also, reminder, this is super important, guys. Have you lost weight since you've started listening to the podcast? If you answer yes to that question, please go to millionpoundmission.com and donate that weight loss to our Million Pound Mission. Just scroll down to the bottom of the screen. I'm not going to ask for email, money, nothing. Just enter the weight that you've lost, watch the tally go up, and be a part of this Million Pound Mission. I want to cross 100,000 pounds in 2020. Help me get there, all right? And then, I've got a online community that we are building, the Mission Possible crew, the Mission Possible community. And that's a free Facebook group. Just head on over to millionpoundmission.group and join in on the fun. That's free. Just let's connect, y'all. Let's connect. So those are the main three things. The Reboot membership is open. Donate that weight loss and join the free community at millionpoundmission.group. All right, let's dive into this episode with Anthony Trucks. So the main question I want to put out there to kind of set up this episode is, do you guys ever feel like you've lost control over the direction of your life? Maybe your personal circumstances have changed, or maybe you've lost that fire that was burning inside you that kept you going strong for so long. This happens obviously a lot with a weight loss journey. I've talked about this before. Maybe it's time for a shift, right? And this week's guest is going to help us accomplish that. Anthony Trucks is somebody that's gone from foster care to the NFL and serial entrepreneur, American Ninja Warrior, and he is a master of navigating the identity shifts that life puts us through on the path to reaching our full potential. You just have to learn how to close your identity gap and make shift happen, like Anthony says. So in this episode, again, super high energy. This dude was a lot of fun to interview, let me tell you. We talk about Anthony's personal journey from foster care to the NFL, to doing American Ninja Warrior, to being an entrepreneur and public speaker and a coach. We discuss the 3 phases of identity shift. We talk about the largest roadblocks that keep people from making a successful shift. We talk about the importance of taking personal responsibility over our life circumstances. That's high impact right there, right? And then we also talk about a simple action step to initiate a positive shift. I saved this one to kickstart 2020 for you guys. I knew this was a good one, and I think this is just the perfect way to set that spark for the new year. So enjoy this one. Let's dive in. Episode number 304, Making Shift Happen with Anthony Trucks. All right, Anthony Trucks, welcome to the Million Pound Mission Podcast. It is so good to have you here with us, my friend.
Hey man, thanks for having me, bro. Let's do some great stuff today for these people.
I need to warn the audience that this is a contender for the highest energy episode that I've ever done. Anthony is just an amazing individual. He's got an amazing story. We are going to light you guys up today. So just get ready. Get those earbuds plugged in.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to talk a lot today about we're going to use the term shift and identity shift, and shift is going to happen. Shift is about to happen to all of our people here.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to start off the interview with you telling us a little bit of a story. So tell us the story about the first couple of big shifts in your life that just started you down the path to where you are today.
Yeah, man. Now what I do, the people ask, I help people make success their second nature. It's from my long journey through identity and identity shifts. So I'll probably give people a clear picture of what in the world this even is going to go into. My first shift in life was my very first memory. So at 3 years old, My mom calls me from the front of my apartment, the back area, and she gives me a kiss. She's crying, and hands me off to this strange woman with me and my three siblings. And I was given away to foster care. So my first memory of life was like, all right, I'm a foster kid. I don't know what to do with this. It's this feeling most people can relate to in terms of being scared or unaware or lost, like not feeling good enough. It's a feeling that I had at an early age, first feeling ever. Bounced around from house to house for about 3 years, 5 different homes, and I was beaten and starved and a whole bunch of weird stuff, man. Just things that back in the day I wouldn't even wish upon like my worst enemies. Just some heinous things, but some people aren't the best people, man. 6 years old, I was put into a family, which is my family now. The unique thing is I'm the only Black person in an all-white family. So here's like the first like shift in my identity. Like, okay, I'm this Black kid in an all-white family. Still a foster kid though. 11 years with his family. We were poor. We didn't have much growing up. I make a really dumb joke. I grew up poor, white trash, even though I'm a Black guy. Just go with it. it's one that I just can't get over. We used to make dumb jokes, man. My family's a bunch of weird collective and colorful, literally colorful jokes. My older brother's Mexican, and the rest of my siblings are all white. It's super weird. And then at 14, at another shift, I got adopted. For the first time, I knew that the pillow I woke up on that morning, I would go to sleep on. I didn't know that for 14 years of my life, right? So I finally had this sense of like, okay, cool, I'm this adopted kid now. So now I'm this former foster kid, this poor kid, this Black kid on white family, I'm adopted kid. Then my mom gets diagnosed with MS. So now I'm the son of a sick mom. My dad's starting to focus there. My older brother goes to the military. I'm just pretty much trying to go through this world of navigating who I am. And I try this thing that most people, they take for granted, but I love that I could hit people and not get in trouble, bro. I got to play football. Oh, man, that was cool. So I get to run around. And here's the thing. A lot of us try these things that we're really excited about, and then we try them and we suck at them. And then we make excuses to not have to feel the feeling of knowing we suck at it. And that was me. Like, I love the game of football, but I was horrible at it. And nobody wants to show up and be horrible at something.
Right.
So like I went through this process and I found ways to escape it. And then I had this excuse of, I'm the foster kid. I'm not supposed to do well. Like, and I started tucking away, man. And my family, nobody, academics is not a big thing. In fact, I'm the only person in my immediate family of all 6 kids of us to graduate from the actual high school or to get a college degree, right? So I'm not really in an environment that's fostering, academics. So I was like floating by the wayside. And I'm in this class and I get this amazing opportunity that a lot of people don't get to have it. Here's the opportunity. I'm sitting in this classroom, Mr. Howe's English class, back right desk, 15 years old. 2 girls are sitting there talking to each other. No idea I'm listening. And one says the other one, well, the reason I'm so bad is because I'm in foster care. And I was like, wow. The gift I was given was hearing my excuse out loud so I could hear how stupid it sounded.
Yes.
And now I'm sitting here like, God, I can't have that be the reason that at 30 years old, I'm a bad dad and I'm a horrible person. I found these statistics out, man. What I found out, Adam, not a different name that some people have called you. What I found out was that if you go to any prison in America, 75% of the inmates are former foster kids. 51% of the population of homeless people is former foster kids. Yeah, 1% of us ever graduate from college. Like the numbers for me are slim. And that's before being in this poor family where I'm not supposed to do well. So just all set up poorly. Anyways, I hear this excuse and I'm like, I don't want that to be me. Like I can't. So I go home, I look myself in the pupils that day after a long, weird journey in my head. And I just literally say, Anthony, you're going to be great. And I had no idea what it meant because a 15-year-old boy has 2 things to be great at: getting girls' phone numbers, because back in the day, you had to actually go talk to girls. I didn't get to walk up like, hey, what's your phone number, And then the other one was like football. I want to try to be great at this thing. And I gifted myself an incredible, like the class, we'll call it life class. Because I think a lot of us have these tests that life gives us, but we've escaped the class for so long and in the heat of it, we fail tests. And so I stuck in the heat of it. I went and did everything I could do to be successful before I knew I'd be successful. I wasn't yet the football player that was great, but I wanted to do what that person did so I could feel that's me. And I went and lifted all the weights I could, ran the routes I could do. I was doing everything under my power to be better that day. I caught the football 500 times a day before I went to sleep, killed it. I show up the next year. I was an animal, Adam, like a beast. People listening, I was a beast. I was still a skinny little Black kid. I wasn't, but I was stronger, faster. And here's the gift that I got. And take a note, you guys listen and take a note. I found out that what you create creates you. And what I mean by this is I was creating this stronger, faster body in the weight room. Every rep I put in, every route I ran, every ball I caught was giving me a little bit of a chip on my shoulder to feel like this is who I am. I'm this guy, right? It created the self pride, the self confidence, like all the work I did, and then I put on the field and I showed up. Like for me, like I was fast, I was making plays, I had confidence was showing up. So now I got this. What I created in the body created the internal Anthony of like this. I deserve this. Is who I am now. It's like when you see people getting in shape, and at first they don't post anything about getting in shape,
Right.
and like 6 months later, like all you see is yoga pants and salads all day long on their post.
Yeah.
It's who you are now. And what I found was whenever you get to the point of having that they call it identity shift, all the things that you see that overwhelm you, that you like look at somebody else doing, it's like, man, it's easy for them. Why do they have the Midas touch? Why is it so odd? But it's so hard for me. It's because it's like it's just naturally who they are. What overwhelms you, they do easily. Therefore, those actions move the needle, and it's like just who they are. But that takes effort to get to the point of doing it effortlessly. I call it effortless effort. And when you get to that flow, it moves. And so I applied that, man. Fast forward, I got a college scholarship to play football at the University of Oregon. So I'm a Duck, go Ducks. I got to another identity shift of like I'm this football player in college, away from my family now. Had my first son at 20 years old in college. Now I'm a college student and a college dad, if you want to call it. My high school sweetheart's up there with me. I find my real dad at the age of 21. So now I got two dads and they're not gay. He caught that. Adam caught it. Boom.
I got it.
Smile.
I caught it.
Yeah. And then I fast forward, I get an opportunity. I'm blessed to play in the NFL. Unfortunately, NFL stands for not for long. So in my third year, I tore my left shoulder against the Philadelphia Eagles with the Steelers. So now I have this major crisis of I'm not even the football player. That's all I knew. And this happens for a lot of people. It happens for moms and their kids go to college. It happens for people that come back from the military. It happens for people that lose their jobs. Like everything you worked for is now stripped from you, and you're like, who am I without that thing? This was like a major shift for me. And then I came home and I want to find this. Now I'm at this point married, had two more kids, had this gym. I'd opened up this gym business because I was trying to find that thing that would make me me again. Like, and we're all seeking that. What can I do and pour into to make me feel like that's me? And this gym was the best and worst thing of my life. It was the best because it was a microcosm of the world. Being in the NFL, you don't get exposed to business and people and interactions.
Right.
It's like I was in this tunnel of just being forced to figure stuff out, almost went bankrupt multiple times. And then the same capacity, I was there 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. I neglected my wife, neglected my health, neglected my kids, and lost it all. So now I'm in a situation where I found out my wife had an affair. I'm not present with my kids. So my kids are like, no, dad is. I'm not even helping raise them. The gym business is faltering back and forth. I've lost this identity as a football player. The gym is just up and down. It sucks. So I'm in what we call the identity crisis. I hit my rock bottom, bro. I drive off one night when it all hit me one night, like it just weighed on me. I was like, I can't experience this. It's just too much. I don't know who I am. I got nothing to lean back on. I got no anchor, and I want to find rat poison. Thankfully, there was no stores open when I went. And the police found me, and I snapped out of it. They sent me home, and I kind of started this whole role of trying to figure out who in the hell is Anthony.
Right.
Like, what am I supposed to do? And I think a lot of us get there. And so I didn't even really unpack what I've unpacked as of late until later. But at this point in time, a buddy walks up and says, "Man, when I found out you were gone," he's like, "I physically threw up. I thought I lost a hero." And it was the weirdest thing because for me, I was like, I'm just a buddy that we worked together. We played high school football together. What are you talking about? He's like, no, I've watched what you've done throughout your life. We've watched you climb. And I say, we the community. And you're like the hometown son, man. Like, he's like, you spark a lot of inspiration for a lot of people just on living your life. And so for me, it's like, damn, I didn't really look at it that way. And I was like, trying to figure out, what am I supposed to do with all? Maybe there's a reason, because I'm accidentally helping. What if there's a reason all this stuff's supposed to have happened in my life? And then about 2 years later, as I'm going through the motions of my career, because a lot of us go through the motions, we don't know what to do.
Right.
So we're just floating. I was in this gym. Like, I wasn't in love with it after a while. I was just there because it's what I knew to do. And then April 15th, 2014, man, God takes my mom home. And I was there in the room when she took her final breath. And it was like one of those weird moments where you're just like, dang, that's life. 47 years old. That's life. It's a blink of an eye. And I was like, man, I had this realization of I've been in life up to this point, like 30 years old. And like, it's happened so fast. And I had this realization of like, I could be taken in less time than I've been here. I don't get time to be playing around. I don't have time. None of us have the time to kind of go through the motions, let our bodies and our lives just kind of go daily without taking control of them. I was like, I gotta change something. So I was put in a weird position, I think, of just now I'm looking for something, and God provided that. Like, He gave me an opportunity for a big contract so I can get out of the gym business. He gave me an opportunity to find someone who does this work in this personal development space, we'll call it, so I could see where my trajectory could go. And then I was given this opportunity to see like a new path for my life. So fast forward from that 3 years, man, I got to this point of really unpacking that my weird expertise from just life being crazy is understanding how to navigate identity. So after that, I got to a point of branching out into the world. My gym grew. I ended up, getting out of the gym business. I started speaking and traveling. I've been an American Ninja Warrior. I've been in National Geographic, written books. I talk across the world on stages, teaching my identity shift concepts. I have since been able to navigate all the crazy relationships in my life. So after being divorced for 3 years from my wife and having custody battles and craziness, 3 years later, we got back together, and now we're 3 years strong. It's the weirdest thing. Most people don't grasp, like, she cheated on me, but to get where we are now in our relationship, I go through it twice again. Yeah. Like, it's such an incredible marriage. And so, but there's a lot that's woven into who in the hell Anthony is. And I pull that out with psychology and neuroscience, and I tie it back to the teachings I have to teach people how to, in their life, make shifts happen, man. So that's my weird story.
Yeah.
I'm sticking to it.
So one of the key takeaways that I want our audience to pull from your story is that I know a lot of them struggle with waiting for perfect to get started. And I think they all have a varying degree of an experience like you've had with multiple shifts in their life. Like, things are always happening. And I hear people like, well, I'm going to get healthy once this area of my life calms down, or once this thing kind of dials in a little bit tighter, then I'm going to start with my health journey. And wait, the perfect time to start that is now, and you do the best that you can. So I feel like that's a good place to start as far as like giving some actionable tips. If you run into somebody like that is waiting for perfect to wait till things all settle down, what are you going to tell them to get them into action?
Yeah, well, I mean, from the standpoint, we already know it's like there's never going to be a perfect moment, right? But here's the thing: is everybody's waiting for the confidence to push into that. And that's really what people are waiting for. Like, I want to have the confidence to know that if I do it, it's not going to fail this time. I want to have the assurance, right? So one is, there's no assurance, there's no confidence that comes with it. There's this thing called the 7 operational stages I work people through. And think of it like this: you have this identity you are. It's a circle. It's identity of who you are, which leads to the beliefs you have about yourself and the world, which then leads to the thoughts you have daily. Those thoughts create emotions. The emotions lead to the actions you take. Good, like, because I'm angry, I take an emotion. Or I'm happy, I take an emotional action. That action creates an outcome. The outcome shapes the environment of ourselves internally in the world we live in, which tells us who we are and our identity again. And so what happens, you can't really change any of these things on a dime. You can't just change your beliefs. It's like you can, but like to really root it down, it's hard to believe I belong. It's hard to change an outcome without a different action. It's hard to change an environment unless you walk into somebody's house, and that's called breaking and entering. So don't do that. So the area where you can sneak in, and everybody can relate to this, is I took an inconfident action. I didn't feel like doing it, but I did it anyways. And that's really what it is. When you take the action, it spins the wheel differently. Because in that little bubble where you have this emotion of, well, I don't know if I should, what we do is we don't take strong action because we don't feel like we should, and the outcome sucks. It's like the self-fulfilling prophecy. But if you just say, damn my feelings, and just go, and you have this weird craze like, oh my gosh, it worked out. Well, now what changes is, well, my outcome changes. Yeah. So the environment changed, my beliefs, like my who I am changed because my environment's different. My beliefs are a little bit different. I'm thinking a little bit stronger. Man, I feel better. Let's take a bigger action. And the wheel spins. And so those who are like, I'm waiting for the perfect moment, you literally don't wait, you make it. And it's not to say you're going to make it, everything's going to happen amazingly now. It just starts the wheel spinning in the right direction for your life.
Yeah. And I think you nailed it, where a lot of people in the body transformation, the journey to health, the weight loss game, they have lost weight or seen results and backslid so many times. They are sitting there just petrified and not taking action because they're like, what if I fail again? And they're just sitting there not doing anything. It's like, well, at least I'm just sitting here and I'm not failing by not doing anything, instead of getting outside their combit zone, taking action and actually reclaiming control. Yeah. So that's a perfect example.
Into the big part most people don't grasp there is that this is where I look at, like, this is the work I do. You have an identity of who you are. We will protect the identity we are with our actions. Like, people call the ego a negative thing. They call it everyone's greatest obstacle. I call it that, but it really is. It's actually everyone's greatest opportunity, because when the ego shows up in a stance of like, I'm great and amazing, and it hurts you, it actually shows up to help you every day. If I'm a great dad, it's going to easily be like something I do to do great dad things. In fact, my identity as a great, amazing dad will show up in like taking my kids to school if I got it, or dropping what I got to drop. The actions show up and like, no, it's what a good dad does. I'm showing up here. And so if I'm the person that says, no, I'm in shape, I work out, if that really is who you believe yourself to be, it shows up in the actions without even having effort. Where people are like, how do you do that? Oh, it's just who I am. And so it's what's going on with a lot of people is they don't have the identity ownership of that's who they are just yet. That's why they're
Yeah.
afraid to fail.
Yeah.
And what they have, what I call identity gap. There's a gap. I'm over here, this person trying to do what this person does, and after a while, it gets draining, and I get overwhelmed or I get burned out. I'm burned out doing this because you're trying to do those things. You're not trying to be that person that just owns that that's who you are now. You still think you're here. You haven't owned that it's who you are here. So because of these gaps, that's why people go up and down the hill because they never actually shift into like, no, is actually who I am. I'm going to protect it effortlessly with my actions because it's not only something where I got to do it, but it's who I am to do that. And I don't want to fall in alignment when I go to sleep feeling odd about myself because I'm not in line with that. And that's what people need to build more than just the habits. It's actually habits is one of three things they have to build in.
Well, and what you just described there, I see that happening a lot with like, I'm big on affirmations, I'm big on goal setting,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of times, like if we don't feel like we're making progress towards that and we're doing affirmations like I am, thin and confident or whatever, we feel like we're lying to ourselves. And when we do get
Exactly.
burnt out, I'm like, screw this affirmation. I'm not saying this every day. It feels terrible.
Yeah, because you're confronted with the reality of it's not who you are. And if you don't believe, you won't protect it. Like what made me different when I was in high school is I showed up the next year and whenever it got to a play, like I had this deep sense of there's no way you get to beat me today because you didn't deserve it. You didn't earn it. It's who I am. I get to win. I deserve to win right now. And I'll fight for that way differently than the person who's like, oh, I did some workout in the summer. And that's the difference is we're not, it's again, what you creates you and it's going to take that amazing sacrifice. And where you talk about the affirmation, like the habits, it's part of it. So imagine this Venn diagram. At the top, you have beliefs. On the right lobe, you're going to have thoughts. On the left lobe, you have actions. Where the beliefs and the thoughts overlap, this is the area where people have the mindset issues. If I believe this is something I'm supposed to do or we're supposed to be, but my thoughts are kind of messed up, like you're supposed to be out there speaking, sharing a message, but I say, well, does anybody want to listen? Do they care? Right? The mindset's weak. But if I'm like, yeah, you got this, like then my mindset's strong, I can go. And it's one of the pieces. And then you have where your actions and your thoughts are, it's your habits. If I'm supposed to take an action, I think about doing it, but I keep talking myself out of it and I don't really follow through. My habits suck. And if my habits suck, which is my daily operation, my autopilot identity can't succeed. I don't do the things that move the needle. So I completely fall out of a congruency and alignment. And then you have the big one, which is where your character sits, but it's pretty much your beliefs and your actions. If I believe something to be done, I should be doing it, but my actions don't follow suit. I lose a sense of self.
Yeah.
Like if I miss that workout, miss the diet, my character, my pride gets a little chip taken away. And like, I feel less than. And guess what? Your ego won't protect that strong solid identity. So what this all wraps around, it's actually called your ideal identity. That's the Venn diagram center. It's who you want to be, who you're supposed to be. And if you lose that pride, you're not going to show up because you think about it this way. Do you know someone that you have no respect or love for? You're going to show up and do things for where you don't feel like doing it? No. Like, I don't like you, bro. I'm not coming to help you out. Right. And think about this. Whenever you have those moments where you lose the a little bit of control and you lose that pride, you stop having respect and care for self. The self-love things becomes an issue. And so what's happening is like, I'll show up for my wife and my kids because I love them. I'll do things that I don't want to do it. I'll do it because I love and care and respect them. But when I don't for myself, because I've lost that pride, I don't show up for myself. And this is why a lot of people falter because they miss those actions that call ideal identity. And then they don't have self-love and respect. So it's easier in private moments to let that person down.
Yeah. One of my favorite friends and fellow podcasters, Alexa Sherm, she says, you can't hate yourself healthy. And it's 100% correct. Now, one of the reasons I love your stuff is that you teach and you speak with diagrams, you add clarity and you have processes. And that's like, I'm a process. I love to do diagrams. It might be coming from the athlete background, like drawing up plays on the chalkboard type of thing.
Yeah.
But I have a process that I call the transformation timeline that has 3 phases. And it kind of just walks people through like what the obstacles are going to look like on a health journey. The 3rd phase is what I call new purpose, new identity. And this is ideal for you because I see a lot of people that I've helped, a few dozen people lose over 100 pounds and they're going down that timeline and they are that person losing weight and they are being cheered by their family and friends. But all of a sudden they run out of real estate, Anthony. And they are done losing weight, that part of their identity is starting to shift. And if they don't find that new purpose, that new identity, they backslide. Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this issue a little bit and how you would coach somebody through that and find that next mountain to climb, like you talked about there.
Yeah. So it's funny. I'm a diagram guy like you are. So I have three processes for mine: see, shift, sustain. So let's say you go through the see phase, which is about figuring out what your ideal identity needs to be, where you have your identity gaps, you unpack these things. Then you go into seeing, where can I go? What's my purpose? Where can I, enter? And that's a C phase. The second phase, the shift. We just talked about the work we do. It's 3 steps, but pretty much you'll shift, and at a certain point you'll be that person. Then you have the sustain, and sustain is an interesting one because that's where you're trying to not backslide. So for the sustain portion, it's like, where am I driving? It's drive, hive, and thrive. What direction is this vehicle continuously going? Which is what we're talking about. How do I make sure I'm climbing a ladder that's leaned against the right building?
Yeah.
Some people climb ladders and they're like, man, I didn't want to go up this one, but I'm here. This sucks. Then the hive, which is, it's crazy. They do it. I've done it.
Yeah.
Then you get to the point of like, what's my hive? Like, what life is supposed to be sweet like honey. So what hive do I have to help me make this life sweet like honey? The people around me. And then what am I doing to thrive? And thriving is that next level of like, where am I going? And this is where it comes back to the beginning. A lot of people get to the backs. It's a wheel. They get backside of this portion of thrive, and they start realizing like, man, there's more I can do and give back and accomplish and create. But they don't look for it. They won't see it. But I force them to say, what can you do? What can you go after? And then it starts to wheel again. They go back to the C phase. So in the bottom of this, we'll call it the circular end of it. What people need to do is go back and recenter and refocus. Like, where do I want to go? And what scares me to enter into? So if I lost some weight, the next fear might be, wow, maybe I was thinking about doing a Spartan race. Like, so go and do that. Or maybe I was thinking about doing a triathlon. Because now what you've done is prepared your body to get into the shape of the people you see active in the world. You've gone to that first phase of the identity. Great. Now, what's the next thing you can accomplish? Because you obviously like climbing mountains. Where's the next peak? And if you don't seek that out, you'll never find it. You will slide back down because you'll just get complacent and you'll be like, well, accomplish that. We'll go back, hang out, do what I used to do. Because we'll slide back to comfort zones, which are bad for us. And so at that point, my coaching point literally is, what's the next peak? What's the next thing you can possibly see yourself doing that scares you? Because it only scares you because it holds weight. It holds importance. Like, there's things that scare people that don't scare me because there's no importance to it. Like maybe someone's like, I don't want my car to be dirty. Like, I don't care. It's a truck. The truck could be dirty, Like, there's certain things that scare people. So if you figure out what scares you, lead into it and figure out a way, because it scared you at first to get into that weight loss journey. Yeah. It's natural and normal. Now find this next one. That's how you progress into it. And start the same process over and watch it unfold.
Yeah. And it seems like you're somebody that you have developed a mindset around being comfortable outside of your comfort zone. Right?
So much so.
If that's you're driving and you talk about leaning into it and driving outside of that. So how do we get there? Like, how do we develop that muscle?
Yeah. So it's a couple ways. Well, first off, I think people misconstrue when they hear, get comfortable being uncomfortable. I think they see it as get okay being uncomfortable. Because comfort, if you think about comfort, that's like, man, I'm cuddled up on the couch, slippers on, cozy blanket, you got some tea in your hand, the fire. That's comfort. You enjoy that. Okay is like, I'm cool with it. I'm cool with discomfort. Like, I found a weird sense of joy in like things that challenge me now, because it's a competition of me and life. Just like, hey, life, you try to whoop me a whole lot of years. Like, let's see what you got. So far, I'm winning, and there's just a mindset for me behind the scenes. And I developed that by taking the incompetent action. I wish it was something convoluted and crazy and amazing, but really I just figure out, well, I've done all this stuff and I haven't died yet. Right. It's a lot of things have tried to be difficult. Yeah. They challenge me. I'm still here kicking. So at the end of the day, I'm probably not going to die. And I found this is to be true. Every time I set a goal for something and I imagined how great it would be, whenever I achieved it, it was 10 times greater than I could have ever imagined. Every time. So what I do is I say, look, this scares me. There's fear behind it. I know I'm not going to die, but if I get that, I'm probably going to experience something I can't even imagine. Like internally, the achievement, the transformation inside, like I'm going to feel, so let me go after and get that figured out. And so that's what I lean into. I go out and stage in front of thousands of people. And when I first started doing it, I had no idea what I was going to talk about or do. But I'm like, the only way I can mess this up is if I go out there and give half effort. Yeah. That's how I mess it up. And so I lean in fully. I pour the soul out. And so many people don't do that it shows up. People notice it. And so for me, it's like I tell people, hey, find out what that thing is that scares you. Lean into it. For me, it's And I think that's what develops the mindset of doing it. I'm not going to die. And then I'm like looking back, like I've done this a lot of times now. I just created this person by the things I did that most people won't do. There's no secret path. There's nothing that I'm hiding. It's right in front of you. But you got to be the person that does it and looks at the 10-year, like down the road, 10 years, who am I when I've done that thing? And I know that I accomplished the goals that were scary, or 10 years down saying, man, I've been running away from them for 10 years.
Yeah. And, a lot of people listening understand how weightlifting works, and that's from muscle tissue breakdown that heals and comes back stronger. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
getting outside of our comfort zone in life and looking for challenges to make us grow. That's what it's all about. So I want to talk about American Ninja Warriors. That's definitely, I just want to use this as an example because you played college ball, major D1 college, athlete. Then you go to the NFL. So, the traditional person's ego will start to ramp up and be like, I'm doing some stuff. Then you decide to put yourself out there on American Ninja Warrior, and me playing devil's advocate, and you talk about local people like putting you up on a pedestal and like, you're somebody that we're following. That could be an epic fail. If you go out there and fall in the first thing, they might be like, did you see Anthony on TV? Man, I thought he was an NFL athlete. He kind of sucked at that course. So you put yourself out there in a way that it could have ended, bad for the ego position. So what was your mindset going into that? And let's talk a little bit about your experience and how you were the, I don't want to ruin but you achieved something that no other NFL player had achieved at that point.
Yeah, I'm now, like you're going to say, I'm the first former NFL athlete to hit a buzzer on the show in 11 seasons, right?
Yep.
Here's the crazy thing: as you're talking to that, I've never ever thought about the fact that I could have looked bad if I did bad.
Yeah.
And this is a testament. I'm just realizing how I think. So just keep it in mind. I'm not crazy. I'm not saying it because it sounds good, but I learned in college really clearly where your focus goes, your energy flows. So when I was in college, my coach was really big on visualize everything before you. He's like, I don't want you to get out there and get in the field and have taken your first snap on that field. He's like, run through your head pregame. And when I go through my head pregame, a lot of us will float to, what if I mess this up and I miss this? And then my energy goes there. And guess what happens? It's like when you're driving and you're staring at something, for some reason you end up floating over towards it, right? So for me, it's like, I don't want to do that. So I literally, in my head, I'm like, this is going to be awesome. It's going to be, I always picture all this crazy, amazing stuff. And then so when I get out there, if you watch the first one, which is on my website, if you go to my Anthony Trucks and you go to About, you'll see it. I'm just cheesing the whole time. I didn't even notice. I'm like, I'm just having a blast.
Yeah, you're having a blast. Yeah.
Like, they're like, this guy is so happy. I'm like, because I wasn't supposed to be here, of all places. Like, on top of that, if you look at the guys who do the show and the girls who do the show, they're all like, 5'2", $130, $160.
Exactly.
They called me. I'm 6'1", 240 when they called me. Like, I'm a big dude. I got a full body on some of these people. And I got out there and I killed it. And the only reason I did was because in the back of my head, I didn't think I wasn't supposed to. I pictured all this great stuff. And I think that's, even to this day, I didn't even think of it that way. Like, I could have looked bad. And I could have, the community could have saw me and like, oh, he went up there and he failed. But that would have happened if I thought, what could have happened, no matter what, it would have had a higher chance of happening if that's what I kept thinking about all day long.
Yeah.
Because I would have been worried about it and thinking about it too much. And so when I enter life, man, I really am always focused on, here's the thing people are scared of. They're scared of the unknown. It's like looking at a doorway with it's all black on the inside. I don't know what's in there. We don't know what's in there. But what I do know is every stage of your life that's had something great happen was you walking through a doorway that you didn't know and realizing the other side was a golden room. Yeah, there might have been a little mouse in the corner, and it's something. But that's really what it is. We're so afraid of the unknown bad that we're forgetting that all the unknown also has the good you're looking for. And so for me, like, I don't go in there only worried about the bad, because I would never go in the door. I'd be like, oh, I don't want to have that happen. But I step in, I'm like, oh, there's gold in here. Let me go have something that's good. And it's much better. So I enter these rooms realizing that also I've entered many rooms in the past. And in doing so, I've entered rooms and I found the rat in the corner. So I picked up this tool, and now I have a tool to kill the rat. Or a monster was there. So I got this, Ghostbuster thing, whatever it is. And I got all these weird little tools I've been collecting on my back. So when I walk into the next room, I'm like, all right, I'm walking in, but I ain't walking in naked. Yeah. I got all these little tools I've picked up because I keep walking into rooms and killing the monsters in that room.
Yeah. Tony Robbins talks about there's no such thing as failure if we learn a lesson from what that experience was, and we walk forward with that new,
bring with you.
Yeah, that new tool. Now, okay, so what What was your biggest takeaway from being on the Ninja Warrior? Because I mean, I'm a huge fan of that show, and I
Yeah.
got to say before you get into the big takeaway, like I was so proud to see another big dude out there because I
Thank
watched
you.
the original show,
Yeah.
just the Ninja Warrior, and whenever they would have an American on, like the announcer's like, "Oh, giant American is here," and it'd be like, "He is 5'7", 150 pounds, giant American." I'm like, "That's not a giant American. That's still a pretty
No.
small person." But seeing
Yeah, it
somebody
is.
out there, pushing mid 200s, that's I was like,
Getting
"All
it.
right, this is somebody I can get behind."
There you go.
So, what was your biggest takeaway once you hit that buzzer and you completed that?
Yeah.
Like, what was the thing that really gave you the most juice out of that
You
experience?
know, I mean, it was exciting to do that. It was cool. Like, I feel like I really accomplished something. Like, it's not an easy thing to win that show. 11
Yeah,
years, two guys have won the show. So it's not, I don't have that, but it was a cool accomplishment to do something out of my comfort zone, get my kids to be able to see who I am as a human, like be celebrated. I think it matters that your kids get to be proud of you.
yeah,
I think it really, I don't know how that makes sense. And some people, they may think, I have nothing my kids can be proud of. No, you haven't done enough and push yourself out of your comfort zone enough for your kids to find you doing something to be proud of. Go run a marathon and you get the accolade. It's like, you be proud of that. But don't think you have nothing yet. You haven't done it. But here's the one thing I really pulled from it. And it has nothing to do with the show, but it has everything to do with training. And so in the world that I live in, and we all live in, there's always these things we try to do, but we don't find a lot of self-worth. We find that we actually find things to focus on that are non-self-worth, like areas we lack, right? And so I was having this conversation about training and grip strength because you have a lot of grip strength. And then I was talking to this guy. I was like, man, we were having a conversation about the strongest part of the hand. And I'm like, not like your thumb, right? Your thumb hangs on. It could be your index finger. He's like, no, no, no. It's your pinky. I was, what do you mean it's your pinky? He's like, yeah, the pinky is the strongest part of your grip. Like when you lock the pinky and it holds everything else and it's a stabilizer. So your pinky is the strongest part of your hand. I was like, damn, I think that a lot of us in life aren't realizing that our power lies in the simplest thing that we have completely forgotten about holds the most power, called pinky finger power, legit. And so, like for me in the world I operate in, I didn't realize for the longest time. It took me 5 years to realize that my strength of what is my like I can teach comes from my life that I thought like, oh, it's just me overcoming it. It's just going through stuff. Like, no. One of my buddies was like, dude, you have navigated so many parts of your identity that most people won't come out of one of them. You've gone through like 20. Like, what in the world did you do? I was like, oh, I just, and that was my pinky finger power, which I've now brought to the world and I teach people to navigate. But for a lot of us, there's pinky finger power in how we are moms and how we are dads, like in how we are, coaches. There's so much pinky, but we're forgetting about it. And because we're forgetting about it, we're missing out on the amazing power that we can bring to the world.
pinky finger power. So
Pinky finger power,
you've
bro.
talked, you come from the background of being an athlete surrounded by coaches. Now you are out there doing the coaching, doing the mentoring.
Mm-hmm.
What would you go if you go back and kind of give yourself some advice as someone being coach? Because I think about this all the time because I'm trying to coach
Yeah.
people. I'm like, oh my God, in high school, I was a nightmare.
Yeah.
I go back, I'm like, what was I thinking? So if you
Mm-hmm.
could go back and maybe we have some younger listeners or people that are parents that are looking for coaches or whatever, like as somebody that is now coaching that has been in that environment coming up,
Mm-hmm.
like what advice would you give yourself to be more coachable as you came up?
Yeah, I think it's going to be the ego thing. I think we call it. I literally call at this point everyone's greatest obstacle. There's a great there's a great opportunity within taking insight from somebody who's willing to give it to you, good or bad. There's a lot that we can't see, and because we don't see it, we can't accept it. Because you can't accept it, we'll never work on it. You can't work on what you don't see. And I think a lot of us get to the point of not wanting to have our bravado or our whatever little pride we had taken away. So our ego pops up and protects that little bucket there and doesn't realize that while you're using to protect the bucket being taken, you're also stopping the bucket being filled. And so whenever I have clients that I work with, and I look back at my past, like a lot of it was me trying to defend the position I was in, when the reality was this position I'm in isn't where I want to be. So why am I defending this? And so I would open up, like take the insight, and taking the insight, it made me better, so I could go out and have somebody come fill the bucket up with pride from my achieving something or doing something or winning somewhere. And so for me, talking to people who are in this world, it's like you really got to get to the point of you understand where your ego is popping up and stopping you from getting insight from those who are loving you enough to tell you. And you may not want to hear it, but you may need to hear it. And the crazy part is, if you come off as crazy and you put this wall up, unfortunately, stop that spot or that opportunity for it to come back again. If someone comes and tells me, "Hey, man, you really got to work on this," and I'm like, "No, shut up." that person is never going to try and help me. And I say help me by giving me insight again. I've now cut off that arm of being able to help. And the next person, I keep cutting off arms. Next thing I know, I got no idea what's going on in my life, and I'm just running around like a tornado, ripping things up, and no one's coming to tell me. So for me, it's like I had a message yesterday. So I'm a man of faith, and I for a long time I always had faith in what I do, and then I had this team I hired to be able to help me with social media because I got a lot of clients. I'm like, hey, you guys kind of have some freedom over there. Like, you know who I am. Look at what I am. I'll comment. I'll respond to messages. But can you guys help me create content and post? And next thing I know, like I'm running the Spartan race. I come down, they're putting pictures of like cuss words up. I'm like, but now it's up. They're like, do I take it down? It's got all this. I've been up there. I did like a Spartan race 9 miles, so it's like hours. So I'm like, I don't take it. Do I take it down now? There's thousands of people on it. And so after a while, this goes on. Then yesterday, and I told them not to. They keep putting weird things up, and so I fired them. But anyways, message comes in. Yeah, message comes in yesterday because I've since rehired a company. I have systems in place. I can go back to being very close with what I post. And so, a woman sends a message yesterday. Says, "Hey, I've been following you and my son. We love who you are, what you do. We just feel like I had this feeling I need to tell you that I feel like you're out of alignment with what you naturally I've known you for. It seems like you're out of source with God and kind of who that is, which I'm not internally. We go to church, like we pray every meal, like we follow Christ, like he's the center of my relationship. And that was like, dang, yeah. Like, right. And so in my message, it wasn't like, shut up, I got it. It was like, you're right. You are 100% right. I know what it is. I've noticed it. Thank you for this message because it lets me know that internally my gut was telling me the truth. I've since fired that company. I have a new company coming in, a buddy from my church that I've known for like 10 years. Like he's helping with the content creation. He's going to be the video guy and the brand manager with me. So it's like, but I could have easily cut that arm off and been like, no, I got to leave me alone. But I was like, you're right. Right. I embraced this part of it. My ego pulls aside because I'm a social media. I'm an influencer. How dare you tell me? I could easily do that.
Yeah.
But it didn't need to happen that way. And so because of that, this person will in the future give me more insight also, and it will help me be better. And so it's like the ego, again, can be everyone's greatest obstacle or everyone's greatest opportunity.
Yeah. I feel like that's a little bit of a through line with our conversation that we're having with the ego and dealing with personal responsibility. Like, you have every opportunity to play the victim role and be like, listen, at 3 years old, this happened to me. And then my upbringing was all crazy. And like, you could have just played the victim and people would have been like, yeah, I get it. Tough situation. But you are choosing to put your feet in the ground and stand firm and say, I accept responsibility for what I'm creating in my own life. Mm-hmm. So I know there are a lot of people out there that need to make that shift from being the victim to taking personal responsibility, from pointing outwards and saying that's the blame to saying I'm the one that's responsible to move the needle. So any advice around that?
Yeah, there's a good book by Mark Manson. It's The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F, right? And one of the cool things that he talks about, and I love the concept because it makes sense for how I've lived my life, is he says at the end of the day, not everything is your fault. It's not. Like the things that have happened, it's not your fault. However, it's your responsibility to work on it. Yeah. No one else is going to come and work on it for you. And so for me, this is like, I double that down with the concept of I don't like the feeling of just crazy and crap. And we all have a situation where something crazy happens and we spend 95% of our time thinking about it and stewing on it and letting it just seep into our soul, maybe 5% trying to get out of it. And the truth is action ends suffering. But in this moment, the last thing you want to do is take an action. You just want to sit there and eat bonbons and watch Game of Thrones. And so what ends up happening is like we just sit there for years, sometimes stuck in that thinking about they did this, and it creates this sense of like a comfortable feeling of knowing like this evil is an evil I've accepted and I know this. So we get addicted to the struggles. And what I have noticed in my life and what I've been big on is understanding like, okay, it's my responsibility to work on this. No one's going to solve it for me. And if I spend 95% of my time stewing on this, it's just going to persist consistently all day, every day. It's going to seed into the world. And how I show up in the world, it's a reflection of me. If I yell at somebody, they're going to yell back. If I say, hey, they're going to wave. Like it's that's how the world works, a mirror. And so what I've found is I just personally flip it. I take 95% of my time. Like yesterday, just so yesterday I told my wife, we were sitting on the couch, I had a really overwhelming day. Like I wanted to cry at the end of the day. I literally told her that. I was like, I don't know why, but I feel like I want a good cry right now. I don't even know where it's coming from, man. Like it was odd. But then this morning I was like, I'm gonna get up and take an action. I'm gonna move. I'm gonna get my body going because your physiology changes the psychology. And so I got up today and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go talk to some people. I'm gonna talk to a man, Adam. Like I gotta have me on. So I did some actions that took me to a place. I spent 95% of my energy focused on an action. When I didn't feel like doing it, focus on an action, 5% thinking about it, another 5% is like 1%. It's just a matter of me moving out of it. And so when you're in that funk and you're going through that flow and it just feels like wah, it's because you haven't taken that system and flipped it to the 95% being the action you take, because when you take the action, it ends that suffering, because the psychology changes once your body moves and everything. Like even the chemicals change, and dopamine and norepinephrine and serotonin is dumped into your brain and how you feel. And so in those moments, man, that's for me. I look at my life as a whole and say, yeah, I could easily go back and be that crazy mean guy, and it would be somewhat justified to some
Yeah.
people. But I also hate the thought that this moment I'm in could ruin the next moments of my life, and it's all under my control. So if I want the next moment to be great, I got to work on this moment now.
Yes. Anthony Trucks, my goodness. How about we just hang out for about another 10 hours and make this an epic Game of Thrones episode?
Do it. I'll get my costumes. I know the costumes. Sounds good.
So I want to make sure we have given people a taste of your coaching, your inspiration, that fire that you bring with all the stuff you're putting out there. How do they dive a little bit deeper into your Anthony Trucks universe?
The universe. Well, you just go to Instagram, man, at Anthony Trucks. And then there's a separation between two types of identities people have. It's a slow and there's a go identity. There's multiple levels of a go identity. Like I'm a go identity, but I'm not like the rock go. You know, there's a different level of go. But
Right.
a lot of people are floating in that slow identity, having no idea they're floating there. And so you can go to sloworgo.co and take a quiz to figure out where you fit and how it affects your life.
Excellent. I want you guys to take that quiz, slowergo.co. Now, I like to end with a little bit of an action step for our audience. I like to, we're high energy guys. We can entertain people, but I want to shift things from entertainment into implementation. That's very important for me with the show. So let's say there's somebody that's feeling a little bit stuck in life and they're ready to make that positive shift. What is one thing they can do over the next 24 hours to start implementing and just knock over that first domino to create some a chain reaction of positivity?
Yeah. So the first part of my process is C. So C, shift, sustain. The first part is 3 steps. It's accept, dissect, discover. The first thing that I have people do, one of the early things, is I call it roots and fruits. So roots and fruits are, imagine like a tree, really called the tree of life. There's roots you have, and the roots, how deep they are, will provide amazing fruit for your life and for the tree of life, to which you can provide how you can feed your family. You get it. So the thing you can do is take these 10 areas. It's faith, family, health, friends, and emotions, and number them 1 to 10, 10 being the deepest it is that ever can be in your life, 1 being the shortest that root is. Now, when these deep roots are in and root, like my family's good, health's good, faith's good, foundation, everything's good, my emotions are under control, I can produce great fruit in the world. I can show up and be fully me. And the fruits are going to be your career, education, your finances, your purpose, and your ability to escape and enjoy life. And so what you do is go through those 10 and number them 1 to 10. And then what you do is step back and say, what does this need? Like, what's the reason it's not 1 level more? Like, why is it a 6, not a 7? And this is where you're going to do, it's called the triad talks. So number these things on your own, give yourself a number, then go find 3 people, 2 people like you, your wife, your spouse, your friend, your cousin, like you. Third person, somebody that you need to mend the relationship, somebody that doesn't like you very much, and have them sit down and give you what they think these numbers are in your life and why they think that it's there, why they think it's not 1 above. And when you do that, you're going to sit back and shut up. That's a big thing too. Yeah. I apologize for being but I need people to realize that in this moment, if your ego pops up, you will cut that arm off. And so just let it sit in, and you'll find this actually mends. So I've had so many people come back and say, I haven't talked to my family in 2 years, and now we've had this emotional breakthrough just by me listening to them tell me things that they're holding on to stuff from 20 years ago. And so what you do is you sit back and let this thing unfold, and you'll find out a lot about who you are, and that will give you clarity of a direction to pursue.
Implementation out there, $1 million mission, man. Anthony, you've given us so many tools. You've armed us with a lot of things we can put in our transformation toolbox, not only for our health and our weight loss, but just for life principles. And I can't wait to see what you do next, man. I can't see where you dive out of that comfort zone with your next adventure, and we'll all be following along and supporting you all along the way, man.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much.
All right, everybody, it's time to get out there and get into action. We've given you plenty to think about, plenty to work with, and now it's time to get out there and own it every meal, every workout, every day. I will see you on the next episode. Hey, thanks for hanging out after the episode. This is just a quick reminder that enrollment is open for my Transformation Reboot membership. You can start a free 10-day trial anytime in January by going over to millionpoundmission.com. Now, this membership option is perfect for anyone that is interested in leveling up the transformation results and escaping what I refer to as the black hole of weight loss doom, where you lose weight and gain it back over and over again. All you have to do to get started is head on over to millionpoundmission.com and start your free trial today.